Well guys, it's the end of 2024. Dang, is it me or did this year felt way faster than normal? It's kinda scary when you think about it. But anyways, another year has come to an end, so I'm gonna do my annual ranking like I did last year. I'm gonna do my top 10 movies of 2024. To be honest, this year hasn't been that great with movies compared to last year for me. Most movies that I've anticipated this year were either really disappointing, or they either got delayed to further notice. But there were some that were surprising, or the ones that I didn't really expect to like as much. So let me just say, this is my list, so don't take it personally. Make a list of your own and form your own opinion on what movies you like this year. Now, with the list I have, it was actually kinda better than the list I had last year. That's all I'll say. Now, before we get into my top 10s of the year, I'm gonna add some honorable mentions that I wanted to add that didn't make it to the list. But I did enjoy them at the moment when I watched them for the first time. First, I got Alien Romulus. It was a fun movie and that third act was really cool. Next, I got Late Night with the Devil. The concept was cool and it was very creepy. Next, I got Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I think this movie was a lot of fun, despite me not having seen the other movies. And some other ones too, like In a Violent Nature, Dune Part 2, Challengers, The Beekeeper, A Quiet Place Day 1, I Saw the TV Glow, and Flow. Oh, and also Memoir of a Snail. These are all of the movies that are good that I do recommend watching, but they didn't make the list. But now, let's get the actual list started. On my number 10, I got Inside Out 2. Yep, it's a good one, even when I think it's not as good as the first one. There are themes in this sequel that I think are handled really well. I like how they expand the world in a new and creative way. It's just everything I wanted out of an Inside Out sequel. It follows up the first movie really well in a way that felt new and refreshing for this series, which is how I want every sequel to be. But there is a certain sequel that I have on this list that I stayed the same to, but onto that later. But yeah, this is one of the better Pixar sequels to come out. But I don't know how I feel about this movie being the highest grossing animated movie of all time. On my number 9, I got Deadpool and Wolverine. This was a lot of fun when the first time I saw it. The action was great, I like Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman's dynamic in the movie. They were a lot of fun to watch. It's still just as funny as the first two movies, plus the cameos were a lot of fun to watch too. And that opening sequence is still one of the best parts of the movie for me. I think it's a super solid superhero movie that a lot of people will have fun with. Minus some pacing issues, but I could brush it off and still go along for the ride. I just hope these MCU movies will get better from here, but I wouldn't hold my breath for it. On my number 8, I got Transformers 1. This is definitely one of the better Transformers movies to come out. Being friends at the beginning and becoming enemies at the end, it's so compelling to watch. But with this being animated, it's definitely the more better approach to tell this story, since if you were a kid watching the old Transformers cartoons, it's just better to go with that route. The story, the action, and the character depth is so well done. The pacing might be a little bit janky towards the middle and end, and some of the humor didn't land all that well, but I think it's better than the live action ones, and it's kinda sad that it's underperformed, because a lot of people should check this one out. On my number 7, I got The Substance. This movie had a lot of praise during its release, and I was curious to see it, and I gotta say that this one was a surprise to me. It had an intriguing concept and story, is paced really well, and is pretty disturbing, and I really like how pretty straightforward this movie was. The shots in this movie are really well done, and I don't think that I wasn't bored throughout this movie. And oh my god, that ending was the most bizarre ending that I've seen in a movie this year. There are some set pieces that I'm not a fan of, but I can get past that. This is one of the better thriller movies that I've seen this year, and both of the main actresses do a really good job with their performances, and it's really compelling in how they play their role. Give this one a watch, and maybe don't eat while you're watching this movie. Like I said, it's pretty disturbing. Now, this one was another movie that had a lot of praise during its release, probably more so than The Substance, but I've seen it twice and I think I like it better. But to warn you that this movie is not for everyone, because of its themes, which I wasn't a fan of going into it. But at the same time, I was looking forward to it and also give it the benefit of the doubt that it wouldn't bother me that much. On my number 6, I got Anora. This is probably the most entertaining and one of the funniest movies that I've seen this year. I love the main actress, played by Mackie Madison. She delivers her performance really well and I think it's fun to watch. The first half of this movie is really well put together and well paced. The middle chunk of the movie is probably my favorite part out of the movie. It's entertaining, it's funny, and I had a lot of fun watching it. And to me, it has one of the most divisive endings that I've seen in the movie this year, but it actually kinda grew on me the more I think about it. And this movie will most likely get some recognition at the Oscars, I hope. This was another movie that didn't have as much praise like the last two films, but I was very surprised with this one. But on my number 5, I got Strange Darling. This is probably the best thriller movie I've seen in recent years. It has some big plot twists that I wasn't expected, and it kept me intrigued throughout the movie. The story was really well paced and it was done very well. Plus the acting is really good from the main actress. I definitely give this a watch if you love thriller and big twist stuff. And I think it's one of the most underrated thrillers that we gotten this year, and I don't really see a lot of people talking about it. On my number 4, I got Smile 2, the direct follow-up to the first one. And man, this sequel surpassed all my expectations with this movie. It's more scarier, it keeps you intense throughout the whole movie. Naomi Scott does an amazing performance, in addition with the music too. There are twists that actually had me shocked in ways that I never thought I experienced in a horror movie before. It's just a good horror sequel that I've wanted for a long time. I wasn't really huge on the first one, but man, this one really did it for me. Give it a watch if you like the first one enough. You're gonna be surprised with this one, at least I was with this movie. On my number 3, which I wasn't expecting to put on here when the first time I watched it, but I was this close to seeing it a 4th time. And that movie was Wicked Part 1. This was probably one of the biggest surprises of the year for me. On with his almost 3-hour runtime, I was just fascinated by a lot of things in this movie. The movie is really well paced and I wasn't bored throughout any of it. The music has been on my playlist for a month straight. Both Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo do an excellent job with their performances and their chemistry together is really fun to watch. I still can't get over how amazing that ending was. It was just really great. Definitely give this one a watch. Even if you're not a fan of musicals or long movies in general, I bet you're gonna be surprised with this one. And I can't wait for part 2 coming out in next year. Yeah, this one was no surprise as this was gonna be almost on the top of the list. But on my number 2, I got Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I already made a review of this movie, so go watch that one for more detail. But to give a quick rundown on what I think of it, it's definitely the best out of the movie franchise. The stakes are higher than before, Keanu Reeves as Shadow is great, the action is on a whole nother level, and everything about it is just so fun and exciting to watch. I'm biased because I mostly grew up with the franchise, but I don't care. This was everything I wanted out of a Sonic movie. But you might be wondering why I didn't put this as my number 1. Well, it's because... yeah, you probably didn't expect this to be at the top of my list. The Wild Robot is one of the best animated movies I've seen in a long time. From the story being the emotional highlight of the movie, the animation and cinematography is one of the best I've seen in an animated movie before. There are moments that really pull at your heartstrings and it made me want to tear up multiple times, especially with that ending. I just love everything about what this movie has to offer, and I think it has a good message about mothership and what it means to take care of a child, even if you think you're not programmed to. It's just a really heartwarming movie that I really adore it, and I hope that it wins Best Animated Feature at the Oscars, but I'll take my chances. So there you have it, that was my list for this year, and I can't wait to see what other movies are coming next year. And let me know what your favorite movies of this year were. If you're new and want to see more out of this channel and want to see more videos like these, I review movies and rank the ones that I'm interested in. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, and I hope you guys had a great year this year, and I hope you all have a safe and happy new year as we're already halfway through this decade. Wow, that's scary to say out loud. Anyways, I'll see you all next time and be safe out there.